And so it begins. Spoiler season. Awesome. Now, I probably won't be covering the cards as they come out. I don't see a point to. I'm not, heavy in the know for the playing side, so I don't really feel right talking about the strength or the effects on cards and stuff like that. And then, of course, everyone's going to be covering the spoilers, so I'll probably wait till everything is out, and then we'll just break it down in, like, light, shadow, and then probably the specializations, because that is what it looks like we're gearing up for, right? So we definitely know that Illusionist, Light Illusionist is first, Light Warrior, Light cards, then it'll probably be Shadow Runeblade, Shadow Brute, Shadow, then the specializations, and here's where it's still a bit iffy, but I would put my money on Majestic class cards, right? So we see Majestic Illusionist, we'll have Majestic Warrior, Majestic Runeblade, and then Majestic Brutes, followed by the generics, and of course some equipment sprinkled in here and there. But yeah, overall, what do we want to discuss? Well, a few things. So at this point, it's pretty safe to say that, Dusk Till Dawn is sticking to a core theme. It's branching away from the other supplemental sets, and it's not expanding upon all of play, right? There's a little bit here for everyone by way of specializations, but by and large, Dusk Till Dawn is centered around Warrior, well, not even Warrior, Light Warrior, Light Illusionist, Shadow Runeblade, Shadow Brutes, and then Light and Shadow. Okay, so they're the core heroes being focused and expanded upon with Dusk Till Dawn, which is a interesting thing to discuss and consider, right? So this is the first supplemental set that, again, won't have the desirability of the other supplemental sets. And in terms of EVs, right, there has to be a little bit of worry in this video, right? Because I'm becoming the worrywart of Flesh and Blood, am I not? So yeah, Dynasty and Everfest, they haven't done so great, right? In terms of EVs, they're the lowest. There isn't the draw of being able to draft the set. So if you're going to look for specific cards for, competitive play, you're significantly better off just buying the singles from the secondary market rather than chasing X cards in the supplemental sets. Because it is, 10 cards in a pack. Yes, that cuts down mainly on the commons and rares, but overall, you're not getting as much bang for your buck, if you will. So with this centered on, again, Light Warrior, Light Illusionist, Shadow Runeblade, Shadow Brutes, and then Light and Shadow. What rationale is there for everyone to participate in Dusk Till Dawn? Because again, you can't buy a box to, draft it. I think they should, the War of the Monarch event, it should have mixed in Dusk Till Dawn, in all honesty. Draft 3 packs of Monarch, 1 pack of Dusk Till Dawn. If the majority of the cards are still geared towards the 4 light heroes, then drafting is somewhat applicable. Yes, there'll be dead cards. Yes, there's no tokens, and you obviously can't make use of the new Prism effect, which we'll get to in a second, right, with Awaken and then the actual Figment. But overall, it would spice things up. You'd have, the Monarch builds that you'd normally see in draft, and then you'd sprinkle in a few of these new cards for Light Illusionist, Light Warrior, Shadow Runeblade, and Shadow Brutes, and, it'd be a fun time. And you connect the two sets, and you could then get stores doing combos to get rid of the excess Monarch stock that they have, tie in a box of Dusk Till Dawn. If they're going to be thematically linked, as they are, then, there should have been some sort of marketing push in terms of, again, emphasizing its draftability with Monarch. Because I do, in all honesty, think you could draft it, supplementary with Monarch. Again, do the 3 packs from Monarch, do a couple packs from Dusk Till Dawn. Junk cards, it's fine. Everyone's going to have to grab a few, but overall you'll still find cards that you can use because there is going to be a large segment of the card pool dedicated to those heroes. So yeah, I don't know, that my overall concern again is Dusk Till Dawn will not meet the demands of every player. Yeah, there'll be people who open it for its collectability, who open it for the fun of it and all that, but overall this set won't age well. Right? If you want any of the single cards for competitive play, if anyone wants them down the line, they're just going to use the secondary market. That is the honest truth, is it not? Don't get me wrong, I plan to open, a fair bit of Dusk Till Dawn on the channel. We haven't really touched box breaks in the sense of how many boxes I actually open personally, because I do open a lot of Flesh and Blood. It's the go-to hobby for me and my partner. And again, my main thrill, if you will, of this hobby is sorting cards and, trying for master sets. So I do plan to, open at least, maybe not the entire 40 boxes. So I think so far, pre-order wise, I'm up to 13 cases. some of that will be from like me and my partner, some of that will be to open on the channel. And generally speaking, I try to go for the FaB. If I find the FaB, then I'll stop opening. That sort of mentality. I'll keep the boxes for a rainy day just when I want to have some fun. But yeah, overall, the way that the set is gearing up, right? Outside of, say, the serialized art cards, the extended art foils, because I have seen the extended art for the Imperium's Rapture. It looks gorgeous, by the way. The cards look gorgeous. The cards always look gorgeous in Flesh and Blood. But what is the major draw for a set outside of, again, just use the secondary market? Because I know, face value, I could pick up the extended arts, I could pick up the legendaries cheaper than what it would cost me to dig through boxes and find them all. That is, again, a truth of the current state of Flesh and Blood. So yeah, so that is one of the concerns. The other concern, or rather, I should say, point of interest, is to do with the new Prism, right? So the Figments. Light Illusionist Instant Figment, legendary, has a once-off aura effect, if you will, and then it lingers, I guess, right? We don't have qualification on Figments just yet, or even on the Awaken trigger that Prism has. If this is just straight up awaken it into its Archangel, I do have somewhat of an issue with that, right? Because all the other Evoke cards, they are applicable to any other version of said Illusionist, right? If they come out with another Draconic Illusionist, they can make use of all the dragons. If they come out with another Light Illusionist, you can make use of all the heralds and whatnot. The Archangels, if it is tied to Prism's Awaken ability, well, that means that the Invoke mechanic is hard-baked into Prism, meaning that there isn't any compatibility between these Figments and the previous iteration of Prism, right? So if we get to the Living Legend format, this Prism has more cards than the original Prism, and there's not the compatibility, which is, again, going down that route of the game getting more and more segmented. So I'm hoping that the Awaken trigger isn't actually the Invoke mechanic, and there is some other card, maybe a light card, that will actually trigger Figments into their Archangel form. And then the Awaken mechanic, I think it would be strong enough if it's just re-trigger a Figment's ability, right? So this has, when this enters the arena, attack action cards your opponent's control gets -1 damage this turn. So if the hero mechanic for Prism was just to instantly reuse that effect for the turn, I think that would be great. It's an instant, so you can use it on your opponent's turn. Overall, I would be much happier with that as the Awaken mechanic than, an Evoke mechanic. And I also think that makes a bit more sense because, obviously, the Archangels are still only light, right? They don't have Illusionist tag to them, so there is somewhat of a hope that other heroes will have access to them, at least Bolton, again, if the actual Invoke mechanic is tied to light. Then, in terms of the equipment, looks gorgeous. Again, artwork, right? As much as I worry, as much as I bring up concerns and issues that I see with Flesh and Blood, I am actually heavily invested in the game. I have cards from every set. I've been a part of every set. And no, I don't just mean in terms of, monetary investment and hoping to make something off of it. I mean in terms of me investing time, passion. This is my go-to hobby. So this comes from a place of love for the game, right? I want to see it succeed. And again, some hard truths. Growth in the secondary market isn't growth for Legend Story Studios. Expansion in the game in this sort of horizontal movement, right, where we get new classes and new avenues to explore, it does away with power creep. But at the same time, it makes it a lot harder to balance and design sets around the entire community. Which again, if the community is growing, but you're only capturing the interest of a portion of that community with each set, well, again, we're not seeing the growth that Flesh and Blood could see. But yeah, I think we'll leave it there, right? So see you probably next week to actually go over the full spoilers and then some box openings. Although if you really want to see box openings, right, Master Set Madness. I don't know about FaB Unsealed, but I know Master Set Madness does a lot of boxes, right? Like pale in comparison, even what I open, personally. Check that out. Okay, July 3rd.